Yeah. So, tell me about this 007 rumor that's been going on. Well, it's
Yeah, did you guys see that?
I heard a little bit about it, but explain a little
So
bit
pretty
more.
much, I don't know who, but someone found a ROM. Someone got a hold of a ROM for Xbox 360 that is a remaster of 007 Goldeneye for the Nintendo 64.
And it's the legitimate one that the developers made, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
So it's
I don't know.
fully finished.
I don't know the completion of it. I don't know what
Right.
stage it is, but it's playable, and it's in glorious 720p. If I'm not mistaken, you guys could correct me if I'm wrong, but it's in 720p HD.
Which is pretty good for a 360 game.
That's the only difference, though, between the N64 version and the 360 version is that the resolution is higher.
Okay.
Because
Hey, more
it's the
pixels,
same exact. It's not a remake. They didn't redo anything.
Just a remaster.
It's just literally a resolution bump. So it's
So-
clearer, yeah,
But is
which
this,
helps.
I thought it looked pretty decent.
But is this
I mean, it's
something-
GoldenEye. You know what I'm saying?
If it was like some kind of indie developer indie game, then yeah, it looks pretty decent. But I think when we're thinking of like,
but when it came out,
oh, a new GoldenEye,
Dude,
we're
but-
thinking of like a new one, right?
hey, but
not
just
the same thing
but
we've
just
all
think
played a
about
thousand
this.
times.
Think about this. When Xbox 360 during the era of Xbox Live, online play was a big thing. You know, online play never really existed. So imagine if you had GoldenEye with online play. I think that's enough. You know, just having an online feature. So I would say for them that would be
I
enough for
see
a
you.
remaster.
I see you on that.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I see you there.
So
I'm just saying it wasn't what I first thought when I thought.
you're thinking of like a remake.
Yeah, I was
Gotcha.
like, oh, they were really
Like brand
trying
new,
to
like
do
they
something.
were
No, they actually didn't do
adding some new
anything new. It's the
concepts
same
and
as
stuff.
that game, but yes, added
Yeah.
features. You
Yeah.
know,
And this was said that it was made by the developers, right? It wasn't just like
Yes.
somebody.
Correct.
yeah,
decided
this
to
wasn't like
take
a
it and then
mod and
revamp
someone
This
it.
is a
modified
this
it.
was a
This
real
is-
game at some point.
It was supposed to happen, right? And people talk about that all the time because I think Microsoft has the rights, I think, to like Perfect Dark and
Yeah.
007,
Which is
and
why
they
they're
haven't done
coming out with-
anything with them.
Why?
Well, remember we heard the rumor
Dude,
of Perfect Dark.
what's funny is, dude, yeah, we did hear that. No, that's happening.
Yeah.
But like 007, but it's taken like, there was nothing in the 360 era, which now we know there was something, but for some reason it got scrapped. I don't know why, but for some reason it got scrapped because now we know that there was something. And there was nothing for the One era, the Xbox One era, in Perfect Dark or 007. It's funny though, because even when I watched some of the video play on the ROM, and it's like, gosh, this still just looks fun. I don't know why.
Yeah.
They capture lightning there. There's something fun about that game.
Well,
You know,
that game was incredible.
like it's just there's something the silencer like there's something fun about shooting in that game, and it's
Game
just
was
something
awesome.
fun about it. Even as old as it is, but it didn't look like anything different than what it did. And,
Yeah.
you know, just the resolution is high.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Yeah. Well,
I would buy it if it came out. For sure, I would buy it.
well, there's a limit. on
No,
the
I'm saying
price.
hypothetically.
What, $5? What would you pay
oh,
for
how
it?
much you? That's
Yeah.
your limit.
Oh,
You said you'd
oh.
buy it, but that doesn't mean
I would
anything.
pay $20 or less
You'd pay 20.
for in the current state. If this was on Xbox One
I
or
don't know if I'd pay
PS4 or
20,
PC,
dude.
I'd pay $20 to play it online with my friends because me and my brother used to get down on this game.
It's more of a nostalgia thing. for
Nostalgic.
you then.
This is like a
completely
$2 or
nostalgic.
$3 I'd pay.
Dang, on your phone,
I'd
play
pay
it on your phone.
$2.99.
That'd be cool if it was
Probably
on the
pay
phone.
$2.99
I
for
play
it.
it for free. But if
I'll
it's-
definitely
I think
I'd
I'd
charge
play it
for
for
anything,
$2.99.
no.
I think I'd play it for $2.99.
I wasn't that big of a 00 fan, so they got to give it
Gotcha.
to me for free at that point.
All right, I changed my mind. I would pay up to $14.99.
20 is a lot, bro.
20.
14 is a lot.
I would pay up to $14.99
That seems like
if it had online features.
10's pushing it.
Then I'd play that.
If
But
they,
there probably
if
a lot
they
of people
give
would
to
buy
you-
it though.
If
A
they
lot of
give
people
it
would
to you
buy
for
it.
free, but they have in-game purchases, I'll play it.
Oh, that'd be cool. Skins and stuff.
Yeah, something
That'd
like
be cool.
that. Something like
Yeah,
that.
we all would play it. for
Yeah, we
free.
would all play
It's
that,
not what
dude.
we're discussing, dude. It's not what we're discussing.
But you
Such a
wouldn't pay
dummy.
any money. You'd only pay if it was free.
Yeah, no, hell no. For a 360 game,
See,
fuck
then that's
no.
bad. You said you would
You're
not
so
pay any
dumb,
money.
dude. You're so dumb.
I could download them shits for free.
Dude,
off
you could
Microsoft,
play
bro.
Dead Cells on the 360.
Huh?
You could play Stardew Valley on the 360.
They ain't on a 360 though.
But it doesn't matter if it's a 360 game. Is the game good or not?
Ah,
It doesn't matter what console
looking
it
up
was
how much
on.
GoldenEye
That's what I'm trying to
costs.
say. Stardew Valley doesn't require no processing power. I could play that probably on an, you
My wife
know,
plays on her phone.
yeah, you can
Everyone's
play
good.
that on almost anything. Like,
Yeah, but all of our phones are way more powerful than that 360.
no, but I'm saying the 360 could you
That's
could
true.
have played 360. If Stardew Valley came out in the 360 area, it would have ran on the 360.
You think it's gonna look as good?
Yeah,
All right, guys,
I think it
so-
looked fine.
If you buy the game, the cheapest one's about $22 on eBay.
for N64. Yeah,
So-
I mean, or like Undertale. Like that's a super crappy graphical game. That would have played on probably a Super Nintendo. You know, that game could have launched on a Super Nintendo, and people love that game. It's like a 10. You know, like what matters is the game good, not what system it came out on.
Yeah.
I wouldn't look at it that way, man. I wouldn't say like, oh, that's a 360 game, so therefore it's garbage. Is the game good? That's what matters.
Is the game good?
But
Fable.
at the same time, right? I'll look at like when it's made. Like when it's made is like a big thing for me. Like if it was made like almost 15 years ago, I have no interest in it.
Dang. So, some of my favorite
if
games
Dead
I still
Cell
play.
was like old
15
as
years
shit, I'm probably never gonna get around to playing it. Because
But what
I
if
would rather play.
Did
the
you even
newer
play
game.
007 though at all? You never played it. That's what I'm trying to say.
Dude, it was
like,
good,
what if you
man.
had
I
never
might play
played
it
Dead
once,
Cells
maybe.
and it got
Amazing.
relaunched this time around? It used to be like an old Super Nintendo game or something. I'm not saying it would be on that system. I'm just saying let's say it was an old like Super Nintendo or Genesis or Dreamcast game, and it relaunched as a remaster. Dude, it would still be fun. It doesn't matter if it came out in the Dreamcast era, 2000, or it came out this in 2021. Is that if the game is fun, it's fun, and if you've never played it before, you'd probably want to play it. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I guess.
Now,
because
if you
my
played
brain
it
is
back
always,
if you played it back in the like you said the 360, that you played it and you played it out, it's like I'm not going to go back and play a game because I played that a long time ago. I'm past it.
Yeah, but like a lot of times, my brain is kind of in this thing where if it's old, I shouldn't have to be paying damn near anything for it, full price or
But
whatever.
what you're
for
saying
it.
is if it's
But
fun to you, you'll
You'll
it.
pay.
But for you, if it has to be current gen.
Yeah,
for
but
you
what's
to
the
be
difference
paying.
between
It has to
Shovel
just
Knight
came
and
out.
Mega Man?
It just
They
came out.
look exactly the same, like graphically and mechanically and gameplay wise. But you'll play Shovel Knight, but you won't play Mega Man ever again because now that's old for some reason when they're the exact same thing, pretty
because
much.
Mega Man has come out before, but Shovel Knight just came out. So I would rather play what just came out.
Okay,
Yeah.
so what you're saying, the
Yeah.
graphics don't matter.
Yeah.
It's just when they came out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like
I see that.
if Shovel Knight never came out, they just got a new edition that comes out tomorrow, and I have to pay $10, $15, $30 for it or whatever. I might still hold off on it, catch it on sale or something, but I would play that more so than if a new Mega Man collection comes out.
So
of all
I
the
was
older
just
games.
interpreting you as
Gotcha.
using the word old.
So you just want
as
to play a new
the
experience.
type of
Something
game.
new.
Yeah,
I got you.
No, just when it
But wouldn't it?
released,
But if you never
it's
played
something.
Mega Man and it got re-released, that would be new for you. Is what I'm saying.
There
That would be new
there
for
are
you, would be
plenty
new.
Mega Mans that have come out right in the previous old gens, and they come out now in the new collection. I'm not playing it. I'm not that big of a Mega Man.
No,
fan
I
to
know,
go
but I'm
back
just
and-
I'm not. I get off
even
Mega
if
Man.
I never played.
Get
it
off
before.
Mega
I've
Man.
never played
I'm
it.
just talking about a good game.
Mm-hmm.
If you never played it before, then it's new for you.
Yeah, no. I don't care. It came out a long time
That's
ago.
what's so
I'm
weird
not
to
getting
me.
it.
Because they play the exact same, but because one launched yesterday versus 20 years ago, even though they play the exact same way
Right.
and they look the exact same way,
Yeah,
you won't play that one, but you'll play this one.
correct.
Okay.
Just a time.
You just want
frame.
to play new stuff.
It came out
Alright.
now, so I will give
But
them
it's not
money
new,
for
though.
now.
It's not new in any sense of the word other than the time
Yeah.
it was released.
I mean, you can say that about a lot of games. Every game is just kind of like a reiteration of the old ones. So.
But that's just my preference. I just don't deem that if something came out in 2000 that it should be worth a game that's maybe the same like type of quality or something like that.
That's what I'm trying to say. It's the
2021.
exact same quality. The exact same
I
thing.
don't, but I don't deem them at the same
Yeah.
because
'Cause
that's
remember-
set for then. This is set for now.
Yeah,
It's
remember,
not-
remember on the Switch, he didn't really see the value in
But that's
the
just me.
Super Mario
Yeah, I know.
remaster.
We had this discussion with
Yeah.
3D All Stars.
He was the All Stars. He was like, I don't see the value in it. But us, we're like, dude, these games were awesome to us, so we're gonna buy it.
No, but I had never played them.
And I haven't played
Because I had never
either.
played Galaxy and I had never played Sunshine,
Ah.
but I played 64 and I really liked
Gotcha.
it. But the reason why I bought it was because I never played them before. And if they're good games, I want to play good games.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter when they were made.
Yeah, and I hear you. And like,
If it's a good game,
I
it's a
played
good
them
game.
before, but
Because
I
I
wanted
play
them
lots
again.
of games that have graphics worse than Super Nintendo that I really enjoyed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I totally get that. I
But,
mean,
you know?
there's a lot of games, a lot of good games that I have just not touched. You know what I mean? There's games from the previous gen that I haven't touched that I did want to, but I just didn't get around to playing it. But if you told me that Days Gone never came on the PS5 collection or whatever, I missed my time with it. So I either have to go and buy it, a used copy or something like that, because that's how I would get it, right? As a used cheap copy. But if you're telling me that there's no way to get it, I got to pay, $20 for the copy because it came out so long ago, I'm not paying it. That's just me. Now, it could be totally worth that $20. But because it came out and I missed my mark for it, I'm not paying it now. The only thing that I guess it's just like how I would value it, how I would value that IP or whatever. If you ask me about a pair of Jordans that came out 6 years ago, and you telling me that this is a DS pair of Jordans that came out 6 years ago, you could buy it, but it's more than that. I value that more. So I'm gonna.
What do you mean more than that? The price is more.
Like if we're talking
about games that
retail
are cost less than what they were when they came out.
Well, you guys were talking about the Super Mario Sunshine.
I said
and stuff.
$2.99.
I don't know if those were.
I said Goldeneye. I played
$2.99 or not. Huh?
I said I paid $2.99 for Goldeneye.
For Goldeneye?
Yes, I'm not paying the same price that I paid back in the day.
Maybe 20.
Okay, yeah. So, but bottom. I guess what I'm trying to say is like Days Gone.
But see, you're saying you just would never play Goldeneye, period,
I wouldn't.
because it was released 20 years ago.
But
if they released a game that was just like Goldeneye today, put a different name on it, slapped a different name on it, different developer, but they released it tomorrow, now you would consider playing it.
Possibly. Yeah.
You see how that doesn't make sense though?
So
to you, because it's
it's the same thing.
It's
the same exact thing.
It's a different name. It's a different person. I'm considering it to be a different IP. So it would then hold different value, different interest.
So
now, am I going to play
it doesn't
a
hold
game
any different
like
value, though.
007?
It doesn't actually though, because it's the same exact thing.
Now, if I found out that they just reskinned the same game, then
if you
it's
found
not gonna
out,
value. It's not gonna interest me. It's just like I don't know, hell, like just like we were talking about, like the Mega Man collections and stuff like that, or whatever. If it's just a Mega Man collection, but they got all 4 Mega Mans, it's just Mega Man collection, but all 4 Mega Mans released, I'm not buying it.
Yeah, but I'm not buying it either because I'm
not
a fan of that type of gameplay.
Well,
that's why I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it just because it was released 20 years ago and therefore it's off limits.
So, but
that's what you're saying.
So that's the
and
difference.
That makes sense to you somehow.
Yeah, that's the difference because you'll buy it if it looks good or not.
I'll buy it if it looks like fun.
If it came out 100 years ago or whatever.
If it looks fun, I'm playing it.
If it was a good game to play.
Yeah, if it's fun,
it would have to be a really something that really caught my eye and I really had to play it. There was no substitution or whatever. But most of the time, if I missed it, I missed it. That's how I feel.
So you like to play games in the season. Like, all right, this game just came out. This is the season. Everyone has the buzz for this game. And then 2 years down from the line, you're like, that game was hyped before, so I'm not going to really start it now. Is that kind of your perspective?
Sort of. I mean...
so what's the limit? 3 years? 2 years?
At
what point in time does it become unplayable?
Stardew Valley was out for years. I think Stardew Valley was really, really old. But I don't know if I came across something that was fairly similar to it. If I came across something that was similar to it.
So 2 years is good, 3 years is good.
There was something in
5 years
Stardew
off
Valley
limit
that piqued my interest enough to make me want to play that old ass game now. And it was on a console that I had no games for, so it's I'll play it. And it wasn't that bad price. So there are some that will get me to buy an old ass game. But majority of the time, if I missed when it came out and I missed the year or two, I'm probably not going to even give it another look. Just because there's so many other things that I could play than that. There's so many other things that I could play besides 007.
I got you.
Yeah.
I mean,
even if 007 launched yesterday, there's so many other things you can play than it.
Yeah, I mean, I bought Dead Cells, right?
There's
and
so
I enjoyed it for
play
the
at
little
any
time
moment
that I
in
played,
time.
but I'm not going back and playing it right now. I haven't come across some some frame of time where I was like, oh, there's nothing. I should go back into Dead Cells.
That's me, sorry.
Okay, no worries.
So it's
I
it's
got you.
that, but that's just me. That's just how I move. Like there's so many other
hear you.
games that I would want to play that I just never got around to playing. But once it hits a certain time limit,
What is that
like
time
I
limit?
get cheap.
What
like
is that time limit? So after 3 years, it's off the table now.
No, I probably
considered all.
say like off the table.
Yeah. So what
Like,
is
I'll
it like
never
five?
get it?
Is it like a specific? Okay, at 5 years, I'm no longer. This is old now to me. 20 years or 3 years, 5 years. What's the arbitrary date that it becomes impossible to play?
So impossible to play.
That's what you said. It's like no
I'd
longer
say-
playable, even though it's good.
No, I didn't say it was no longer playable. I said it's no longer interests me. Like I'd rather spend my time doing.
But if they
something else on a
reskin it,
new
you're
game.
cool with it though.
No, if I found out it was a reskinned old ass.
That's
game,
what Shovel
I
Knight
wouldn't.
is. That's my point. Shovel
What
Knight
is
is just a
Shovel Knight
reskinned
reskinned?
version of like those old Metroid games, or just like they're reskins. They're the exact same thing.
No, that's like a genre. It's like it fits in a genre, a specific genre or something like that. If you're telling me there's a new game that came out in a genre that's been around for 60 years, that shit happens all the time. So it's just a new game. It's a
They're
different
essentially, for
aspects
all
of it.
intents and purposes, just this. They're the same things though from a bygone era. They're the same thing from a bygone era. They're games from a bygone era.
Everything's been poached from something, right? Nobody has
No.
some super unique deal. Like
No.
no unique idea that they've
No,
put into
we
the
aren't
game
making
world.
games like Metroid and Castlevania as standard games today. If anyone makes those, we say that's from a bygone era. That's from an era of gaming that's no longer here.
I don't consider it like that. I don't look at it like that. Like, oh, that shit's like, but it's like, oh, I haven't seen a game in a while. Like, I'll check that out. I might want to play it, regardless if they're very similar, right? We liked those games at that point in time, so we play those games like that. I mean, if you find a game now that's similar to Dark Souls,
Yeah, but
you're gonna
games
wanna
looked
play it
different in
later.
1980 than they look today.
Yeah.
That's my point. Shovel Knight is representing a time of gaming era. It represents a game from a
You're saying
different era of
8-bit,
gaming.
8-bit or 16-bit or whatever.
The only way that
era,
games could be made back then, side-scrolling 8-bit platformer, you know,
Right.
boop, boop, boop. Like that was the only way the game could be made. People make games like that to emulate because they liked that the way the games played then. They remake them like that, exactly like it.
But not everything is the same. Different maps, different weapons, the same concept. Yeah, same concept.
Yeah,
but
they
things
play
are
the
different.
same way. Yeah, it's a different world.
storyline
It's
might
a
be
different
different,
world.
whatever.
But I'm saying that there is for all intents and purposes, they're the same. Yeah, you have a different character, a different name, a different text box when you talk to somebody. Yeah, the storyline's different. But I'm saying the game itself, for all intents and purposes, are just like games from the 1990s.
Yeah, I don't know what you want me to say to that, because like if there's a game, you know, we compare things all the time. If there's an open world game like Cyberpunk, similar to Grand Theft Auto, I really enjoy playing Grand Theft Auto, so I'm probably gonna enjoy playing Cyberpunk. You know, there would have to be some really shitty things about Cyberpunk for me to not enjoy it. But if I enjoy one, I should enjoy the other. Same type of concept, different stories. So I'd be buying a game for a
I'm
story.
just saying it just doesn't add up, man. Like, if you never played KOTOR, you would never recommend someone. I mean, why would? So if I said, dude, KOTOR was really good, you really should try it. I go, well, you know what? That came out 20 years. I'm not gonna play it ever again now. Even though it must have been a good game, even though I never played it, I'm not gonna, take that recommendation or ever play it again because it's from 20 years ago.
Right. But if you told me like, oh, Starfield coming out, next year, that one's pretty similar to KOTOR. Or if you tell me the new Star Wars open world game is really similar to Knights of the Old Republic, I'm gonna be like, oh,
But
okay.
if a game
all
is
right,
good,
cool.
but if a game
I
is
get
good
that.
as a game is good, regardless of when it came out, it's
Yeah.
gonna be fun and good no matter when it came out. That's a fact.
I mean, if it's free, I might check it out. But at the same time, I don't have the interest in playing it. I mean, those like saying Knights of the Old Republic is probably a different field. You probably have to stay in the 8-bit field because the graphics are going to be better for anything created in 2021 than it was created in 2000 for KOTOR. So I'm not going to want to play the shitty old graphics of that. So if we stay in the 8-bit world,
I know, but that's
it's
why
not
I read.
gonna-
That's
it's still
why I
not
brought
gonna
up
make
Shovel
sense.
Knight. That's why I brought up Shovel Knight.
Right.
Because it's the same
So-
exact. If an RPG came out that's just like KOTOR today, you would play it.
If you say an RPG,
because it came out today versus came out
if you
15
say an
years ago.
RPG that's similar to Castlevania, is coming out in 2021.
No, I'm saying
gonna play
KOTOR.
that.
I'm using KOTOR.
But I'm saying you
if
can't
an
use
RPG
Quarter
came
because
out,
that's like 3D world. There's better graphics.
yeah, I'm talking
So there's
about a 3D
nothing-
world. I'm talking about a game that's the same exact build as KOTOR, but it's a different game in that vein.
Mm-hmm.
They named it something else, but it's the exact same thing, essentially. That means it plays the exact same way as KOTOR does, all the same mechanics. Different storyline, of course, because but it's in that vein, and it came out tomorrow. That would interest you more than going and playing KOTOR, which doesn't make any sense.
Looks better.
No, it doesn't look any better. It's the exact same. I'm saying. If
It's
it
gonna
came
look
out-
the same shit game that came out in 2000.
Yes.
Oh, I'm not gonna play it. I won't play it. I want better graphics.
Right, but
Now,
you're,
if
but
you
that's
told
not. But
me-
you're not consistent that way because you played Dead Cell, you played Shovel Knight, you play games with shit graphics.
Those are made to be 8-bit graphics. Like
I'm
that's,
saying
that's
this
that
new game
8-bit
coming
world.
out is made to be like KOTOR.
The KOTOR, the game KOTOR was made with that gen's best graphics capability. Right?
Right,
So,
and Shovel Knight isn't.
so
Shovel
there's
Knight
a
is not
whole
made with
bunch-
its generation's best graphic capability.
So Shovel Knight is specifically trying to stay in
Yes,
that 8-bit
that's
world.
what I'm said earlier.
KOTOR was not in no 8-bit world. It was in a 3D generated type
No,
of graphics.
but neither
layout.
was, and that's why I brought up Mega Man because neither was Mega Man. Mega Man was not in an. It was Mega Man was in an 8-bit world, right? It was the best it was at the time. Mega Man was the best graphics that it could have been at the time. Right? Mega Man was at the peak of its processing power on Super Nintendo.
Yeah, I guess because it's stuck in
Right?
the 8-bit
Yeah,
world. Yeah,
that's all. The system could only produce 8 and 16-bit games. So Mega Man was at its peak at its time. People are making games today that are just 8-bit and 16-bit graphics, just like Mega Man today, that you'll play because it came out today, but you won't play the same exact type of game because it came out 20 years ago. That's what doesn't make sense to me.
KOTOR is trying to be real. Mega Man is not. If I want realistic, right? KOTOR was as close as I could get to seeing some type of a realistic environment. Now I got a 2021 version.
You're not
of
understanding.
KOTOR.
That's not what I'm saying.
That's what I'm saying.
I'm
That's
saying
what
if a
looking
game
at.
came out that's just like KOTOR, just like Shovel Knight came out that's just like Mega Man.
Mm-hmm.
Do you understand what I'm saying? If a game today came out that's just like KOTOR, just like games that come out today that are just like Mega Man, so it's meant to be just like the past era. So KOTOR, the new game that comes out, is meant to be just like KOTOR, just like it. You would play it, but you wouldn't play KOTOR. The only difference between them two is the time, the date in which they were made. It's the only difference.
I would say that this is a little sticky one because at the time Mega Man was the best graphics, but they turned that into a style of game now. So there's those 8-bit retro kind of games, and that's like that's a popular
It's a
style.
niche that
It's a
you
niche
fit
popular
into.
style. But KOTOR, although it was the best graphics at the time, the graphics never really developed into like a niche style that people kind of like. I'm with you. With the games,
No,
good,
I know you are.
I don't care how
I
the
know.
graphics
I'm just
look.
saying that they do, though. They do make games today that are low-end graphics like that. Because
So
maybe
they
the developer's
make
not as
games-
capable as making
Yeah.
the high-end graphics. They're low-end graphics like KOTOR. The best they can do with their RPG, like an indie developer can do that. I'm saying, just principally speaking, Marcus would consider playing that more than KOTOR because it just came out tomorrow versus 20 years ago.
Yeah, and
I would say like
And
there's
that
like
is the inconsistency I'm pointing out.
there's like this wall, right? Like we've had like 8 bits, you know what I mean? The 8-bit to 16-bit. Then you start getting into where they're getting more shapes and more design
Yes.
involved in the. So my wall is
64.
where that 16-bit or whatever is at. You know what I mean? If a game looks like the Nintendo 64 versions of stuff, I don't want it. If it looks like KOTOR now, I don't want it. If it looks like an 8-bit or a 16-bit that's stuck in that era, I will play it. But I don't want anything because I feel like
That's what I'm saying. That's the
where everything
inconsistency.
changed. 8-bit and 16-bit, like they all look the same, that blocky stuff. But now you have things that have a little bit more roundness in the shape and stuff like that. Yeah, there's some blocky stuff, but that's just because they sat there and tried to manipulate squares into rounds and they didn't do as well, or the squares are too big. But like we've been doing nothing but improving on that. We've been continuing to make that type of graphic better. So we haven't hit that block wall where it's like now everything looks completely different from this. Everything from, that's like in Coder that we play now or whatever looks like an improved version of Coder. So it doesn't look like an improved version of an 8-bit character. It looks different. Ain't no side scroller. This is a total 3D going around the world. So I mean, even when you look at like Mario's like,
yeah, but this is a different argument
Mario
you're making now
Sunshine
than
or
you were
something
earlier,
like that.
right?
Mario
It's a different
Sunshine.
argument you're making now than you were earlier.
Well, I'm telling you, it doesn't.
Just letting you know,
it
that's a
looks-
different argument you're making.
What's the argument that I'm making now?
You're making the graphical argument, 3D graphical argument.
I already told you that if it looked like that, I don't want to play it. I told you, if there's a new game that comes out tomorrow that looks like Coder looks now, I don't want to play it. If it plays like Coder played, I will play it. If it looks like it
within
should
the last
look now.
year, within the last 5 years, you've never played a game with suboptimal 3D graphics on it?
If you're saying since the PlayStation 4 came out, if I've played
Sure,
something
the
that should
PlayStation
have
4
been played on
generation.
the PS2,
No, just
Even the
looks that way.
PS1?
Just looks like a PS2 or PS1 game.
no.
You've never played a game that even just looks like it.
No. That as I will go back
So
to
then
like
it has nothing to
8-bit
do with the
games.
time then. It has to do with how it looks.
But
That's what I'm saying. It's a
that's
different
involved
argument
with
than
the
what you're
time.
making.
That's involved with the time as well. Those old ass games came out that old. If it was to look like that and they said it was the greatest game ever,
No, but
It
you
would have to be free.
said earlier, I said you have two games that look the same. One comes out today, one comes out 20 years ago. You wouldn't play the one that came out 20 years ago.
we were stuck
That's
on
what you
8-bit.
said.
We were stuck on 8-bit. 8-bit
Yeah,
is where we talked
I
about
used
that
8-bit
situation.
because I was going further back.
Then you went to Coder, so
I
you
went
skipped
to
up
8
to a whole new block, and that's where my graphical difference compares. Like, and
I know, but
it gotta look
8-bit
good
is
now.
much worse than KOTOR is my point. So I was trying to go to something that was a little better than 8-bit.
Yeah. Just to jump in for a second. When it comes to people's preferences, I don't care. I don't try to like make reason.
That's fair.
I don't care.
Yeah, that's fair.
personally.
Yeah,
Everyone
that's
has their
fair.
preferences. But he did say that if he found out it was a reskin or a remake of that game, he wouldn't be interested. So my interpretation, I could be wrong, is, Marcus 20 years ago, he didn't buy that game. He didn't like it. So now, 20 years in the future, he's still probably maybe not going to like it. And he's
No, but
still
it
not
wasn't
interested.
about liking
I know.
it,
I'm
though,
just
right?
I'm
It
just
wasn't
trying
about
to-
I didn't
liking
get
it.
around to it, so I won't.
Yeah, I'm just
If I
trying to
didn't
like
get around
he
to it, I
saw that
won't.
game when it first came out, like Goldeneye, but he wasn't interested in it then, so he's not going to pay money and he's not really interested in it now. Maybe with Days Gone, maybe when they came out, I'm speculating here. He's like, it was okay. 2 years in the future, he's like, that ship has sailed. I'm done with it. So I don't know.
You don't recommend games to people then either, right? So you wouldn't recommend Mark go back and play the original God of War. You wouldn't recommend Mark to go back and play The Last of Us because they have better versions of The Last of Us, better versions of God of War today. You wouldn't recommend to go back and play those great games. You wouldn't put on him what you wouldn't do to yourself.
Well, I've played those games, so I would recommend the game that I played. But
No, but I just said
all I
that you
could
wouldn't
do,
play
all
it.
I could do is tell you how great Coder is. Would I tell you to go back and play it? No, not compared to the shit that we got now. Nah.
Oh,
Don't
see,
waste your
I
time.
would. I would.
I wouldn't waste.
See,
Nah, that's
Okay.
to me,
All right.
that's
Well, at
like
least
a
you're being
waste of time.
consistent.
Yeah. From my perspective, like for example, like a game called EverQuest, the game looks terrible.
Mhm.
It's clunky.
But
like,
you enjoyed
because
it.
I got into it in that time. It was revolutionary. Whenever I refer someone to it, like my friend Squid, he loves MMOs.
Mhm.
He hated it.
Mhm.
So I was like, man. And a couple times I tried to refer games like OG games I played. Like that came out in 1999, and I still play it here in 2021.
Mhm.
But I can see how some people who, when they miss the ship, although EverQuest is a great game,
Mhm.
it's harder for people to get into it. You know what I mean? In the current day. So I see some value. I see some,
like if
reasoning from
you're
that.
asking me if I would recommend The Last of Us, yes, because Last of Us still kind of looked like the shit we playing now, and it was a great story. It's not that outdated. Now, you asking me would I recommend that merchant game? What is it? What's the one that you had
Moonlighter?
told me? Moonlighters. Yeah, I don't know why I can't remember the damn name. It was I'm assuming it was a newer game. I don't know. When you put me on, it was a newer game at
Yeah,
this
but
time.
that's
so I
my
checked it
point,
out 'cause
though.
it
That's
was
my
free.
point from the. That's my
It's
point
free.
from
It's
the
an older
beginning.
game,
Though.
Yeah, for sure.
but I did recommend it.
It's not older. It's not older in the sense of the date that it came out. It's older though in
With the
its
time that it looks.
in its technology.
What it looks.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
But it was a newer game right?
I didn't know you
check
wanted
when it
nothing to
came
do
out.
with old games, old technology games.
I don't.
I
want
thought you just
anything
liked
to
good
do-
games.
I don't want anything to do with a game that's already been out. If it's not free,
I know. See, that's
like
what
said,
I
if
keep
it's
trying
free,
to say. That's my
I
whole
will
point. I keep
play
saying this
it.
whole time.
Yeah,
I can recommend Moonlighters, but if I recommended another game that was just like Moonlighters, but it came out in 1995, now you don't want anything to do with it. That's what was boggling my mind.
It also has to do with if I paid for it.
I know.
I
That's
wouldn't
all
have-
I'm saying. That's what was boggling my mind. That's what was confusing me.
You could have told me about, matter of fact, Hades. That's a good example. Hades, right? You're saying Hades is a great game, a 10 out of 10. It's a masterpiece.
It is.
I will probably never pay for it, unless maybe it's like really cheap. I will never get around to paying for it. Maybe $1 or something like that. It did come out, right? It did come out. It's a newer game, whatever. It's that 8-bit style. It's come out a while ago. I don't know how long.
That style's come out a long time
It's come
ago.
out like this
No,
year,
Hades
right?
came out
That
last
was
year,
pretty new.
2020.
Yeah. So last year it came out.
But its
8-bit
graphical
style.
fidelity is from 10 years ago.
Right. So at that point, it's an older game, so it's already hit like my year mark or whatever.
Yeah, you don't know
I'd probably
whatever
give
that
it like
is.
six months is when I'm paying full price for it. Anything else, it's got to be lower. Now, how much lower? When you start getting into 8-bits, I got to be paying a lot lower because it's not giving me the graphical output that some
I
of these
know,
other
but
games
that's
is
not what
giving me.
was that was not what was rubbing me.
What's rubbing you is that I don't want to spend time
No,
on
I should
an
say
old ass game.
confusing me. No, that you would play Moonlighters or you would play Shovel Knight, but you won't play those exact type games because they came out 20 years ago.
Yeah, because
That's
the
what was
stuff that's
confusing me.
the stuff that's in
Not
Shovel
the
Knight,
price that you're willing to pay or any of that. And that wasn't confusing me. I understand all those reasons. You can have your reasons for what you're willing to pay for something, but you wouldn't play it. You just wouldn't play it.
Mhm.
That's what was confusing me.
because it's also like regardless of how old it looks or whatever, there's gonna be newer concepts, new ideas. Maybe they try to revamp something that we really enjoyed in Castlevania that they really enjoyed, and so they wanted to add that in there, but like one up it or whatever. We're talking about minds of this generation as opposed to then when they were doing what they were max capable of, maybe. And we're talking about people that have something, a situation that they're,
But I
they're
mean,
able
but
to
whatever.
to do
Ultimately,
more.
you can buy and play whatever you want to play. I'm just
For sure.
You're just trying to understand
confused.
them.
Yeah, I'm just
All right.
confused. So,
But
it's
going
fine.
back to Goldeneye,
Yeah.
I definitely see why you would want to play it. You know what I mean? If you didn't play it back then, you
Sorry
definitely,
for that rabbit
you
hole.
definitely ain't playing it now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. GoldenEye, it's really fun. It looked fun. Even that little ROM looked fun. And so, yeah, I would play something that's fun.
Yeah, for sure.
Regardless of when it
Yeah,
comes
so
out.
you guys would have to tell me all about GoldenEye.
Yeah,
and if
for
you
sure.
decide that you want to download it on your PC or whatever, let us know. If you guys
I may
go in on
download
whatever.
it, but because it doesn't really have the multiplayer. Because me and my brother and my cousins, whenever we had a family gathering, we would be playing this 4-player style. You know what I mean? So it was cool during the time. So if I could experience that with my cousins, and my brother again, then I would definitely, do it. But we'll see.
I love you, me.